So, what is a holistic women's health practitioner? Join me this week as I sit down with Amber Johnson, a new graduate of the Holistic Women's Health Practitioner program, as she shares with you what a holistic women's health practitioner is, a little bit about her training, and it's an opportunity to get to know this. Join me this week for this awesome conversation to learn more about the program, the practice, and its newest edition.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Irizarry. I'm an Eastern medicine practitioner who is passionate about women's health and helping women live their best lives. My goal is to put you in the driver's seat of your menstrual health, offering period solutions for a symptom-free life. Statements made in this program are for educational purposes only and not intended as a substitution for medical consultation or advice. We do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. This podcast is inclusive and welcomes all gender identities. The focus of the program is on biological function, and we will use the term women throughout, but for biology, not identity. Come as you are, I am happy you're here and welcome all performances of identity. I hope you find something helpful in this show.
Welcome back to Productive Rebel Podcast. I know I say this every week that I'm really excited about who I have on, but that's one of the beautiful things about doing this show is I have the coolest people come on and talk. And this week is absolutely no exception. So join me in welcoming Amber Johnson to the show. Amber.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
So Amber's appearance here is exciting for several reasons. I'm going to take this episode in a little bit of a different direction, and we're going to be talking about her experience with the women. Also want to introduce her as one of the new faces in the Moon Essence practice. As many of you know at this point, I am expecting, and maternity leave is getting closer, guys. And Amber has graciously offered her skills and expertise to step in and help me cover the practice and work with pelvic steaming clients and fill that space to be able to continue serving you not only while I'm out, but she's going to stay on after I come back so that we can expand what we're able to offer you. So having her on this show is a little bit of a welcome to the team kind of thing, because I want all of you to meet this absolutely beautiful human being. And I am so incredibly excited to have her work alongside me, seeing her grow as a practitioner and as a person over the course of this year has been nothing short of one of the things that just brings my heart so much joy. I feel like it could burst. So welcome to the Moon Essence team, Amber, and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I came into the program as a massage therapist, wanting to focus more on women's health. I mean, I found Adrienne when I needed her, and she taught me more about my body than any health class ever. And working with you made me want to do the work that you do and be able to help the women in the ways that you've helped me and all the other women that you've helped. I mean, from a young age, I've always felt called to help other people heal. And when I was in massage school, I had actually been saying how I really wanted to focus on women's health perfectly with us. And taking the Holistic Women's Health program has really opened my eyes in viewing the body as a whole. I mean, with massage, I had kind of viewed it as a whole already, but this was more in depth and really instead of just focusing on the muscles, like we really got into the organs and the symptoms that your body shows for organs that are out of alignment. And we need to balance the yin and yang in each.
So this is a
yin and yang in each.
so this is actually a really great segue to talking about your experience as a student. So,
Mhm.
what about the program itself either fit with your lifestyle or really resonated with you?
You make it really easy to be able to take the program because you really only need 1 day a week that you're committing to time-wise to sit down and have the live discussion. And then, I mean, during the week, you really only need to take a few hours out of it to watch the material and take your notes and do your own studying. So I guess that really depends on how you consume information and study. For me, it took about like 3 to 5 hours a week outside of the videos just because I to retain the information and make sure I had the questions for the live class to make sure I collect everything and make sure I can get the information that I feel like I'm missing from it. Just needing clarification on things or if there was something a little confusing. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff to learn. I honestly think for the most part, like most of the weeks, the videos were only like 30 minutes to an hour. I would say the toughest one was when Lindsay Tucker was teaching us all the organs and the meridians and everything. It felt like it was just like a whole like meridian class and learning every single one in a very short time frame.
Mhm.
But we weren't expected to know all of that. It was more so just like this is the field of like what you're entering, which is exactly where I wanted to enter. Like I've been wanting to learn about the meridians ever learning massage. Energy work with the massage is really important to me. I think it's a lot more beneficial for the body when we're able to do that. So to learn the science and the traditional Chinese medicine behind it is really cool. And then the meeting once a week honestly just kind of became like a small little community. Like, yeah, I get to go talk to my girl.
And that's really what it
And
became.
excited. Yeah, it did. It was really sad not having that as a weekly thing. But it was also nice to have having that as a weekly thing. But it was also nice to have like, so because we would meet 3 weeks in a row and then we would have that 1 week off, like a catch up week, which was really nice because then you kind of have like 2 whole weeks to catch up on everything and like rewatch the chats too if needed to do that and regather the information. Those videos became long
They
because we
did.
just, yeah. I mean, there's just so much information and knowledge that like I feel like we could just talk forever.
Well, and we took it a step further though, too. Like, we're able to, yes, we were looking at the physiological side of things, right? Like how energy moves in the body. You were learning a completely new language. So, yes, Dr. Lindsay Tucker's course was a little dense, but it had to be because you were learning how to speak a completely different language and all of the terminology that went with it, which then translated into, well, then how can I use this?
Mhm.
So, the beginning of the program, it is a little bit denser because you're laying a foundation. But I love
Mhm.
the fact that our class, we were able to really go the distance and talk about social reasons that people could be having certain challenges. And, why is it that we have over 8,000 nerve endings and collectively women have a hard time to be orgasmic? Like, why is that? And we were able to talk about some of the physical stuff that could cause challenges in that department, but we were able to talk about some of the social reasons, energetic reasons, like why is it that women collectively
Mhm.
struggle with this? And it's how we're spending our energy. And I love the
Mhm.
fact that we were able to go there, and that's why our conversations got longer, but they were so dynamic and rich.
Yes. Oh my gosh. They were. I need to go back and like continue to rewatch them because there's no way I can just consume all of it. at that time.
And that's why the program is designed to be 9 months. I felt like if I went for a
Mhm.
whole year, it would be too much for some people. So it working on essentially the same academic calendar that, a child might be, but the structure is designed for busy people.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely been busy and
Yes.
I was able to do it. Oh gosh. Yeah. Just the timing of it all. 'Cause I mean, even just like the 6 o'clock meetings, you get home from the day and you're able to hop on the call, hopefully. And I mean, sometimes like, oh, I'm watching the replay. You guys mentioned this. Can we touch on this a little bit more? And, we would all hop on Slack and to chat.
Yeah. So it
Mm.
was really important to me, and I love that you mentioned that because when I designed the course originally, it was really important to me that the conversation didn't stop with the module. Because as you start using it and as you start working with bodies, like questions come up, things that you don't anticipate are going to come up.
Mhm.
And, where can I go for this information? Going to come up.
Mhm.
And, where can I go for this information? Well, I've looked out there and sure, there are holistic health coaching programs, there's holistic health programs. A lot of them are food and nutrition focused, but there are no holistic women's health programs and in its own sense because we're looking at the body in a completely different way, energetically, physically, you know what I mean? And you can't just like Dr. Google stuff because this is a
Yeah.
different way of looking at things. And yet
Mhm.
it's all looking at things. And yet
Mhm.
it's all the pieces of the secret sauce that have made Moon Essence as successful as it has been over the years that I've been in practice is that I'm not just looking at like a pill for a symptom, which is a very allopathic way of looking at it. Okay, so what's going on in your life right now that not only makes your client feel seen and heard, but you're getting really valuable data.
Mhm.
And, so we have conversations like this. Like I watched all of you go and have all those aha moments about like things you or talk about. And you're like, I can see the bells going off in people's brains. And I love that moment because it's like, oh, that's why that's happening, right? And
Yeah.
being able to put all of those pieces together is one of the things that makes teaching so intrinsically rewarding for me
Mhm.
is helping you help others. So as you step into Moon Essence, and I probably should also put the caveat out there, you do not have to come to work for me if you take this program. You do, like, I love you for it, but you don't have to do that. This program will set you up to start your own practice. It will set the stage for you to be adding a dynamic set of tools to an existing toolkit. In this upcoming year class, I'm really excited to bring somebody who specializes in obstetrics into the practice. She delivers babies in a traditional Western model and wants to bring this information into the work that she does because she practices outside of the normal bounds also. So it's so exciting to me to see other practitioners be able, just like you're a massage therapist, you're bringing this in as another tool in your toolkit to be able to serve the whole person.
Mhm.
So even though you're coming to work for me, which I feel very blessed and fortunate that I got to snag you before somebody else did, do you feel that this program prepared you to walk out into the professional world and do this work in a really supported way?
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, no matter what, e like, when you're new to something, you're not gonna have all the answers, no matter what. Like, that's just unrealistic. And you've built this community where when we come across something and we're unsure, like, we're able to come to you and come to each other and ask the questions approach, but like, what are your guys' thoughts? And like maybe some other questions that I might want to get out of this client before I do commit to creating a plan. Because it's going to take practice. But I would say that the program definitely prepared us to work with people. It's funny because like I almost feel like I don't. But I think that's just because the knowledge that's learned, we should know this stuff. And
Yes.
so I tend to forget that I know more than the average woman about the body. I think that's where I kind of fall under because like I just think that everybody should know these things. But we're needed. We are so needed right now.
I'm going to pause this incredible episode to share an opportunity for you to join me as a reproductive rebel. As you know, I'm a holistic women's health practitioner who practices with a focus in East Asian medicine. I truly am one of a kind in the way that I practice, and that is medicine. I truly am one of a kind in the way that I practice, and that is a part of what makes me a rebel. I am here to disrupt a healthcare model for women and provide natural and effective solutions for all phases in a woman's life. Do you feel called to make a difference in women's health? Whether you are already to make a difference in women's health, whether you are already a practitioner working in this space, wishing to add to your toolkit, or you are just a passionate rebel with a calling to make a difference for others, as I was at the start of my career in this field, the Holistic Women's Health Practitioner Program is open for enrollment. I am looking for pain and heard, where their needs and concerns aren't gaslit, but really taken seriously and met with compassion and education to help them reach their goals. Does this sound like you? If so, please check out the program link in the show notes and schedule a one-on-one talk with me, or join a free information session and schedule a one-on-one talk with me, or join a free information session. Or if you know that without a doubt this is where you want to go, enroll and get started today. Together, we will make a difference for the future of women's healthcare. I can't wait for you to join me.
I have never met anyone as about women's health as Adrienne Irizarry is. Not only is it just a delight to be in her presence as a friend, but as a student, her passion for her work, it comes through so prominently, and it helps ignite the excitement that lives inside of me as her student. We literally laugh, we cry, we share, we support. The knowledge is endless, and the infinite capacity of her being for this work and teaching, and mentoring is just astounding. It's so beautiful. I can't think of a better instructor to be working with this topic. We are powerful. Women hold the most beautiful. And Adrienne is the perfect example of she. She is the epitome of woman.
And now, back to the show. Experience at the beginning when I started doing the work, even when I was going through training, because I kind of alchemized my background. Anybody who looks at my bio goes, wow, you've done a lot of things. And it's like, yes, because there was no one place that housed all of what I wanted and needed.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I had gone to acupuncture school, I would have had to go through like a general practitioner level training, meaning I was taught how to work with the body in all of those ways, but then I would have had to specialize and still take more courses to specialize, right? So I kind of just went after the specialization and really stepped very fully into the niche. And I didn't have that community where I could go, ooh, I'm dealing with this. And so my network was comprised of acupuncturists, and primarily acupuncturists, but other herbalists that worked in similar ways. But, maybe this wasn't their specialty, but it was at least somebody I could have a sounding board and like talk through some things with. And so a lot of the work that I teach you comes out of all of the research that I've done and the network of amazing practitioners. You mentioned Dr. Lindsay Tucker. She's one of the guest speakers in the class. I brought in a fertility awareness educator. They're specialists in their areas, and I want you to have the best of the best teaching you this discipline and being able to give you a solid foundation. So should you find yourself in a room with other practitioners who are trained in Chinese medicine, you can have a level conversation with them about, well, this is what I'm doing and this is why. But also feeling like you can intuitively step into the work in some ways as well. You've got this theoretical foundation, but you can feel into like this person walks in and you can just feel her energy is super tense. Where do you start? Maybe you start with a rain stick in the field to just, as you're starting to talk, to try to take some of that tinniness down, right? And so that's how this program is built, is so that you can meet the needs of the person that's sitting across front of you. And this program is near and dear to my heart for several reasons. One, because it didn't exist for me. And I know I'm not the only person who is really passionate about making changes in the way that women's healthcare is done. Because there are a lot, and I'm not saying all, but there are a lot of allopathic practitioners, because they are hamstrung by insurance companies and needing to keep things to 15 minutes, and the fact that it's very much a revenue generating model, just a number. Sometimes you don't even get all your questions answered, schedule another follow-up, and out the door you go. And women need to be held. And I'm using the word women because we're talking about like the biology of it, right? But I've worked with all performances of gender identity, and the way that our biological parts are treated is very biomechanistic in the allopathic model. And a lot of times we don't feel seen, we don't feel heard, and come to me and say things like, I need to have a myomectomy done. I'm really scared. And I'm like, okay, I've gone and gotten a second opinion. I'm like, okay, so which doctor makes you feel more held? And they'll just kind of pause and go, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, which doctor do you feel? If you feel seen and you feel held and you trust the person who is going to be using technology in, around, and on your body, you're going to have a better, more positive outcome from your surgery, and and that's the world that I've lived in for close to a decade now, is that we deserve better care. We deserve to be heard. We deserve to be seen. We deserve to be held, because we hold to be held. Because we hold a lot of trauma in this space. We hold a lot of negative energy and feelings in our body around being a bleeding body, what that means, how we're supposed to move through the world, et cetera, et cetera. Experiencing the challenges that I did with the traditional medical model, I started asking myself, well, if I'm having this problem, other people have to be having this problem. And so this program really, truly is unique in the fact that it seeks to step into those spaces, where the clients that come to me don't feel like they're being served. So, so go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, you do a lovely job at that. I mean, the first time I came into your office. I'm pretty and I felt super safe doing so. Like you were there and you held me. And that is what stuck out because I had been going to the gynos and being told everything's normal.
Mm.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, honey, this is what's going on. Okay. You have the answers.
Yeah.
And spending the 2 hours too with the intake is so much more meaningful than I think how it's looked at.
There's a lot of information in that intake appointment. There totally is. And I'm aware of that. And believe me, over the years, I've tried to find as many ways as I can to make it easier to digest and pull apart. But, I spend the 90 minutes with you because I want to get to know you. Like, what have you been struggling with historically? Like, a lot of times, people will come and say, well, I came in with period pain. Okay, great. Like, a lot of us have that. Like, tell me a little bit about your background. And like you said, you shed tears in that first appointment. A lot of people do. Because as we start talking about it, they're like, oh, well, I've felt a lot of shame around my period, or I had a partner who I had to hide my period from because if there were even like hygiene products in the trash can, there would be some sort of an uncomfortable altercation. And so there was a ton of shame in this particular case that I'm thinking about. There's a ton of shame about the fact that they were a bleeding body. And their partner really drove that, started their period young. And so the story that we with really sheds a lot of light on the origin story of where the pain came from in the first place. And that's why I spend that time. That's why I have the tissue box right there on the table, because it's a really emotional story. Tons of shame around my own period. I remember tucking a pad up the sleeve of my sweater, running to the bathroom, right? Because I didn't want anyone to know. And only to get to summer and go, shit, now where do I put this thing?
Yeah, hopefully you have a pocket in your shorts.
But a culture where it hasn't been embraced and it isn't well supported. And there's clinical evidence to show that the emotional state of young girls, their self-confidence levels, start to drop. Whereas boys remain the same and they increase, start to drop. Whereas boys remain the same and they increase as they go through the early phases of their menstrual years. So many of us have those stories. And so I truly believe it is a foundational element of holistic care. Foundational element of holistic care is to shed some light on, well, what are we walking in the door with? And, yes, there's a physical challenge that you'd like to remedy, but what else could we be working on? And that helps to unwind a lot of those trauma threads, big T and little t trauma, right? That we hold in our system, the stories we tell ourselves that keep us from connecting with our essence self. And when we're able to unwind those threads, our health improves. And it's one of the things about the way that I do the work that really drove me to creating this program is that I wanted there to be more of saying about like, everybody should know this. Yes, everybody should fucking know this. And my husband used to look at me and go, are you going to rage at the computer the entire time you're going through this program? When I was doing like various different programs and studying to amass all of what I've got in my head now. And I'm just like, yes, I am, because I feel like I need to be standing on a rooftop right now, like yelling for anyone who will listen that they need to know this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, the amount of emotions it brings up for me, so much anger and sadness. And oh man, the amount of emotions it brings up for me, so much anger and sadness. And just, well, I want to just vomit everything that you've taught me to everybody.
Mhm.
And I am so grateful and appreciative that you have condensed everything that you know into this program. It's a work of art, beautiful. And you are making such a big change in this world. And I am so grateful to have you. And like, I'm so excited to work with you. Like, you have no idea. Like, I knew since day one, I wanted your brain inside of mine, and I wanted of mine, and I wanted to discern everything that I can from you because you have so much knowledge to share. And I am so excited to help you share that.
Thank you. You're making me cry. You are making me cry. And it's not the pregnancy hormones.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's beautiful. It really is, because everything that you just said is, we're talking about my heart that I've put into this program, and 8 years of my life that have been birthed into this program. And that way about your experience going through this program and the information and skills that you walked away from it with. Like, that's truly been the deepest hope that I've had for creating this program. So thank you for that. And yes, I totally am still crying and wiping tears. So, any of you who hear me sniffle as I say all of this, but it's true. Like, I poured my heart and soul and 7 miscarriages and loss and success and grief and the trials and heartaches of hundreds of women into this program, maybe even thousands at this point. I don't know. I've kind of lost count, but you know, my hope for this program is that it was going to give a gift to the world that the world desperately needed. And so thank you for that, because it means the world to me. It really does.
Of course, you have created the most beautiful baby in the world.
Well, and thank you for covering my baby while I go have my baby.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
So I just want to close this episode by saying welcome to the team, Amber. We are just so
Thank you.
incredibly lucky to have you. Amber's schedule is open, so you can schedule intake appointments with this absolutely beautiful human being. Been working with me. She's a face that you're going to see a lot more often as I step into my long-awaited rainbow baby. I've been waiting for him for 8 years, and I will be going on maternity leave this fall. My plan is to continue having these episodes coming out while I am out. So don't worry, you won't be too long without me. But I am going to be really honoring my 4th trimester and my postpartum recovery. So Amber is essentially giving me the gift of that. So I am internally, and Amber is amazing. So definitely get on her schedule. She has openings for intake appointments. So Amber can be found on Instagram at Nourishing
Yes.
Embers.
Yes, I can.
And you can reach out to her directly if you for massage therapy services. If you are looking to schedule pelvic steaming and women's health services, you can go through our website, moonessence.janeapp, JANEAPP.com, and JANEAPP.com, and schedule with her directly.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking about your experience, Amber. I'm so grateful to have you.
I am grateful to be here.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Reproductive Rebel. Reproductive Rebel is recorded by certified peri-steam hydrotherapist and acutonics practitioner herbalist, and Chinese nutritional therapist Adrienne Irizarry of Moon Essence LLC. If you are interested in setting up an appointment for one-on-one support, visit our website at moonessence.life. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and get insider information on upcoming events and offerings. Join the conversation. Like and follow us at MoonEssenceMe on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Your voices make